On Monday, we awoke quite refreshed and excited about biking 20 miles to Lucca, which people had told us was extremely Tuscany. And so it was. It was our favorite town. One of the delightful aspects of biking solo, and not with a group, is that we were able to stop wherever and whenever we wanted for lunch. Around noon, we lunched at a small cafe where we thoroughly enjoyed watching a group of men converse with great emotion with one another.
But after lunch, we had our greatest scare. Pat and I had been arguing about my desire that she bike in front of me so I could see if she had any problems. Pat didn't want to because she felt like she was holding me back. I protested, "Pat, we're going to get into the town at the same time. I enjoy your pace. Please ride in front of me." She said she still wanted to ride behind me, so after lunch I said, "Okay, but remember our plan," I said. "If we get separated, we return to the place where we last saw each other." So I took off in front of her, immediately going down a high hill where we had had lunch. As I started down, I heard a semi-truck blare its horn at the top of the hill behind me. When I got to the bottom, Pat was nowhere to be seen. I thought, did she get hit by the truck? Is she alive? Where is she? So after waiting 10 minutes, lugging 45-pound panniers, I rode back up the hill, carefully planning what I would say and how I would say it if she were still alive. At the top of the hill, she was sitting on a curb, waiting for me. So I said very carefully, "Pat, am I glad to see you? Now, what happened?"
"Oh," I said, "I lost sight of you, and then I came to a crossroad, and I didn't know if you had turned or had gone straight. So I rode to the bottom of the hill and couldn't see you, so I biked back up the hill to our lunch stop and waited for you to come back."
Then I said, with some anger I must admit, "From now on, you ride in front of me." Well, you can see how long that lasted because Pat took this picture of me behind me as I rode into Lucca. Actually, experience taught us that sometimes it was wise for Pat to lead, and sometimes it was okay for her to follow. But generally, I preferred her to lead, so I didn't have to turn around all the time to make sure she was okay. Like many Tuscan towns, it is surrounded by a wall, this one built in 1650 AD. We rode on the wall all around Lucca, and this is the best picture of us taken on the tour together on our bikes.
Besides their wonderful vegetables and fruit, Tuscans eat a lot of boar meat that hangs prominently in view. San Frediano was built around 1110 AD. Some of its columns were taken from the nearby Roman amphitheater. Our bikes are visible in front of our hotel on the left. The charm of Lucca lies in its narrow streets, which always seem to be loaded with both locals and tourists.
And of course, I had to eat at least one gelato a day. San Michele stands out in the center of Lucca. It was built around 795, and the slide shows its 11th century reconstruction. Much like Siena, Lucca's main piazza is encased in a circle of buildings and shops, and filled with children playing. Hundreds of shops satisfy strolling tourists and ready consumers. This is not a double picture. The glass window reflects the buildings behind me.
The Tower of Gold is somewhat unique because of the forest of trees that crown it. We climbed to the top to get a better view of Lucca. The night before we left, we looked south, the direction we would bike to Volterra, our next destination. This leg of our journey was the most unplanned and scary part of the tour. Just beyond the treetops lay the Arno River. Since we were close to the ocean, when we crossed the river, we would be at our lowest elevation.
We had to pass through the mountains to get to Volterra, and had no idea what the terrain would be like. Would we have to climb them? Looking at them like this, I wondered what we were in for. Pat was clearly... We made no reservations for the first night because if we were unable to bike it in one day, we knew a town where we could stay in. So with a lot of ifs and trepidation, we loaded our bikes and were on our way. Much to our surprise and relief, we found that the road had cut through the mountains, not over them, and we enjoyed one of our most pleasant rides.
We stopped for lunch and then came to the intersection pointing the way to Volterra. 6 tough miles, all uphill. We can't say we weren't warned. As we both biked and hiked up the hill, tourists and buses would look down on us, wave, and wonder where had we left our brains. A collage of a cross and farm implements along the road up to Volterra. We begin the 6 tough miles to enter Volterra. Actually, getting off our bike was sometimes a relief. We would stretch our legs by walking. Each day of biking was planned, so we were never in a hurry to get to a destination.
I had just finished my walk and hopped on my bike when Pat took this picture. Ordinarily, when we had to hike a bike, we walked along the side of them. Finally, at the top of the hill, the sign indicated the direction to our hotel, San Lino. Volterra has a long history of being attacked, and the high walls indicate it. This restaurant was high on our list, and we took dress-up clothes to fit into the decor. Well, I should say Pat took dress-up clothes.
We rented headphones and enjoyed a self-guided audio tour of Volterra. It was a great way to see the high points at our own pace and not that of a paid guide. Resting a bit while walking through the town. High towers are a major part of Tuscan skylines. They were built originally so weavers could hang their creation from the windows to dry in the sun, but gradually they also became signs of wealth. The higher the tower, the wealthier the merchant. San Francisco contains many beautifully colored paintings and sculptures, rare for churches built in the 13th century. These portray the Holy Family and Christ being lowered from the cross. More people watching as we ate lunch.
Some unusually high buildings for an early century Tuscan town. Plus heavily forested trees surrounding it. We finished our tour by visiting an Etruscan museum containing artifacts from the area. A Roman amphitheater just outside the walls of Volterra.